Good morning. This is RCB News, and I am Ryan Boland. I want to get right down to the news at hand. I want to read from an article that I picked up from a conservative news site called For the Love of News. The title of this article is Will the Left Cancel Dave Chappelle, dated October 12, 2021. And it begins. Streaming service Netflix has long been producing comedy specials for a myriad of comedians. Most of them are left-leaning, and almost all have been positive and friendly towards the LGBT plus groups and allies. However, Dave Chappelle, who is in no way right-leaning or conservative, has found himself in the middle of some controversy, as GLAAD and a few other groups are now trying to have him in his latest special counsel. Jacqueline Moore, who is transgendered, has called on Netflix to pull the program and accuses Netflix of, quote, promoting dangerous rhetoric, end quote, on his special, The Closer. The irony is that Dave Chappelle considers himself an ally. One of his jokes in the special proclaims, I have never had a problem with transgender people. If you listen to what I'm saying, clearly my problem has always been with white people. His comedy style, much like many as of late, has turned more into a lecture style setting where the audience is told why the person with the microphone is morally superior, while some random piece of their identity is of greater minority, and why they have the right to say what they want. The jokes that the 48-year-old comedian is most in trouble for revolve around gender and transgender politics, and it has whipped critics into a frenzy to get the special removed from Netflix and force Chappelle to either apologize or never be worked with again. Here we go with this cancel culture nonsense again. In the same noted report above, the 5 most controversial jokes reported above, the 5 most controversial jokes that have Chappelle standing in the corner were outlined. First was him addressing past jokes that weren't liked. Go back tonight after the show, I said. How much do I have to participate in your self-image? I said. You shouldn't discuss this in front of black people. I know blank in Brooklyn who wear high heels just to feel safe. I ask you, why is it easier for Bruce Jenner to change his gender than it is for Cassius Clay to change his name? I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about us, and they don't listen. The next was his defense of Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who has been labeled a TERF, T-E-R-F, which of course you know means trans exclusionary radical feminist, by the LGBT plus groups for simply stating that she believes gender is biological. Ooh, that's a crime, right? Ironically, neither she nor Chappelle have stated they disliked or weren't friends with transgender people. J.K. Rowling came under fire because she defended a friend who lost a job and for making statements like those seen in the tweet below, pointing out that erasing women was the least feminist thing that could be done. And it gives some quotes, some tweets of J.K. Rowling. I'll read one. She says, people who menstruate, I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wombum, Wimpon, Woodmud. I don't know what that means. Interesting. Dave Chappelle stated in his special, they canceled J.K. Rowling. My God, effectively, she said gender was a fact. The trans community got mad as explicit. They started calling her a TERF, to which Chappelle responded at the end of the joke that he too identified as a TERF. He went on to talk about gender and said, every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact. Now, I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those blanks that they got, you know what I mean. I'm not saying it's not blank, but That's like beyond blank or impossible blank. You know, Dave Chappelle don't hold back on anything, but I'm holding back on this special here, this article. For those who may not get the joke, beyond and impossible are brands of fake meat for vegetarians. He continued to talk about the baby and the controversy that was caused by a young rapper for using homophobic slurs in his music and on his social media accounts. Chappelle found it truly ironic that a rapper who had once killed a man, 19 years, Jalen Craig, for allegedly attempting to rob the baby in a Walmart, was only now facing problems in his career. Dave Chappelle says this: the baby shot and killed a man in Walmart in North Carolina. Nothing bad happened to his career, Chappelle stated. Do you see where I'm going with this? In our country, you can shoot and kill a man, but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings. For the record, the Daily Wire reports that according to audience scores, Chappelle's sixth special on Netflix is a raging success. Review site Rotten Tomatoes top critics granted Chappelle a dismal 33% rating. The show was embraced widely by its general audience, however, earning the comic an average 96%. I find it interesting that the critics had a problem with. That's the end of that article right there. I find it interesting that the critics had a problem with, excuse me, with his with the show. But clearly the audience liked the show, and that just goes to show you, far as I'm concerned, just because a critic says something negative about a movie or a show, or the critic says something negative or positive, doesn't always mean that you got to listen to the critics. So that's just that on that. But I wanted to sum this. I want to give my comment on this. I said this in the last video. Look, I don't have a problem with people choosing to live the way they want to live. If you want to be whatever you want to be, that's your choice. I have no problem with it. You know, it don't add anything to me. It don't take anything from me. It's not hurting me at all. So I don't have a problem with it. The only problem that I have is when you're trying to push it on the young people. I believe that's wrong, period. Let young people get to a level, the teenagers and young kids get to a level of adulthood where they can determine themselves whether they want to live their lifestyle or not. But don't push that on the young people. No, I'm in disagreement with that, and I stand on that. What I wanted to make a comment on, excuse me, is how the cancel culture is so biased, and how that, I made it in a previous video, how that the so-called feminists are not saying anything about this type of stuff. You know, it's interesting to me how cancel culture can just sit up and counsel people. It's just sick, man. It's sick. Think about it. They're willing to hurt someone's career simply because they state an opinion about something. And I'm going to say this real quick before I go any further. I did not watch the comedy special, so I'm not making a comment on the special. I'm making on the comedy special. I'm making my own comment on the article that commented on the comedy special. I didn't watch the comedy special. I don't have the time to watch it. I work second shift at my jobs. I don't have the time to watch it. Maybe I'll get a chance to later on to watch it. It's on Netflix. I have Netflix on my phone and on my laptop. So maybe one time out of the week or something, I may watch it. But the point is that cancel culture can be so hypocritical. It shows the level of moral degeneracy our country has come to. When you can get to the point where it's okay to kill someone, as Dave Chappelle says, it's okay to kill someone and it doesn't affect your career at all. But it's not, but when you say something against the LGBTQ, whatever you want to call them, or if you say something against the leftist liberal agenda, then it's a problem. We want to counsel you. And here's my spin on it. This is my opinion on it based on my studies on communism. This is nothing more than another attempt to destroy the moral fabric of this country in order to rebuild into a communist country. You got to understand how these communist sympathizers and communist pushers operate in the West. They don't operate like they did in the East with Russia and China and Cuba, where they just came in with guns blazing, shooting up everybody and taking everything by force. They changed their methodology here. In the West, they do it different. They do it with what the Fabian Socialist Society call permeation. They permeate every institution in the country, whether it's education, whether it's religion, whether it's films, whether it's music. They permeate these particular institutions and they take them over a little bit at a time. And as time goes by, as years go by, people begin more and more to accept socialism/communism. They do it through deceptiveness, through stealth. And that's what I personally believe is taking place right now with the so-called cancel culture. The purpose is to shut you up, to shut you down for the agenda that they're trying to push. They're pushing an agenda. Facts and logic mean nothing to them. You would not, trying to have a discussion with a far leftist. I'm not talking about people that are open to debate and discussion, because all of them are not crazy. All of them are not, you know, they're not all like that. I know somebody right now on my job. He's a Democrat, but he's moderate. He's open-minded, and I love having discussion. He's an intelligent young man. He's open-minded. He's willing to hear the other side. So I love that. He's a good guy. But these far leftists, these people that's way out there in no man's land that are trying to push this communist agenda on us to reshape America, you can't have a logical discussion with them. They will not listen to you. They have an agenda to push. And what I see here is those behind the scenes who either are communists or communist sympathizers who are pushing an agenda. Political correctness and cancel culture are just variations of communism that's designed to destroy the freedom of speech in this country. That's what I personally believe that is. And it's sad because you got to work your way around what you're saying. And you scared to say this and scared to say that. I just had one of my videos taken down just not too long ago. I'm just starting this thing, and I had one of my videos taken down, you know, simply because I said something that was against the agenda, that was against what's being pushed. And it's a shame that these type of things happen. But by God's grace, I'm going to continue to do what I do. And I'm going to continue to inform others. And I pray and hope that those who are on a conservative battlefield will continue to do the same thing. But as I said in my closing, this is just an attempt by communist insurgents to shut down those who have a different opinion in order to reshape and rebuild America into a communist state. And so that's what this is all about to me, you know. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And we got to be more aware of this. I mean, I feel like we got to be more aware of it. We got to speak out more against this, because the president of our country right now, I don't hate anybody. Let me tell you something. I don't hate any president. I don't hate any, whether you conservative or Republican or Democrat. I don't hate you. But I will say this. The president that we have in office right now, even some of the people that voted for him are telling me out of their own mouths that they in so many ways that they wish they hadn't voted for him. And I've been saying it. All these conservatives have been saying it for the longest. All right. Everything that they were saying about Trump, this guy's doing. But nobody wants to see that. So that's what I wanted to say about that. But if you guys have any comments, give your comments in the comment section. Let's engage in a conversation on this. What do you think about the article I just read? What do you think about this? You know, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this cancel culture is going way too far? I certainly do. I think it's a front for communist sympathizers. I believe it's an agenda. That's why they go against logic. That's why the feminists, far leftist feminists, won't defend women, as I said in the previous video, that are won't defend biological women in the MMA fights, because the transgender men are playing into what they want, which is to destroy the image of the man so that they can promote the matriarchal society. They want the women to take over. And if a man wants to be if a man wants to be a woman, that works out for them. So why would they fight it? It's all part of an agenda. And the far left is just a variation of communism. It's just done different in the West. It's done different in the West. It's slower. It's slowly pushing communist agendas and communist ideologies into our society. This has been going on ever since the 30s. So listen, guys, if you guys have any comments, leave your comments in the comment section. Give your opinion. Let's engage in the conversation on this. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you very much, and see you again on RCB News.